When a stranger finds you for how your dandelions look, and you realize they've been throwing meetings inside your building, you start thinking maybe it's time they get evicted. I'm Jason Reed. I live just outside the Pine Creek development, technically outside its boundary lines, legally outside its jurisdiction, and spiritually about 12 galaxies away from anything that uses the phrase approved mailbox color. That's why I bought 5 acres out here to begin with. Just trees, bees, birdsong, and the sound of my boots crunching gravel in the morning. No committees, no dues, no neighbors measuring my lawn with a ruler. Or so I thought. Last spring, I got home from a week-long hiking trip in Idaho. I cracked a beer, walked out to check the mailbox. And there it was, a crisp white envelope with golden cursive on the front that read, "Welcome to the Pine Creek community family." Inside, a welcome packet including my new address, now apparently lot 145B, a glossy trifold explaining lawn care violations and fencing rules, and a bill for $225 in community fees. I stood there laughing in my driveway until I choked on my beer. 2 days later, I got a call. "This is Karen Thistlethwaite, president of the Pine Creek HOA," said the voice, sharp and condescending. "We noticed you haven't submitted your landscaping compliance form." I nearly dropped the phone. "Ma'am," I said, "I live outside Pine Creek. I'm not in your HOA, never signed anything." Karen gave a thin laugh. "Oh no, Mr. Reed. The HOA board approved a boundary extension last month. You're included now. We're simply ensuring visual cohesion along the access road. We'll need you to remove the wildflower beds and bees by next Friday." I blinked. My bees? On my land? Yes, they're a liability risk and allergen hazard. You should have received a cease and desist by now. I hung up, called my cousin Lilash, a real estate attorney in Colorado Springs, and she confirmed what I suspected. Karen was bluffing. The HOA had no legal ability to annex land without owner consent. Their boundary map was outdated and entirely unenforceable on my property. So I let it sit, ignored the next few letters, rolled my eyes at the fake citations they tacked to my gate, and figured they'd get bored. But Karen escalated. One Saturday, I came back from the farmer's market and saw her standing in my driveway with 2 of her board members. She was measuring the distance between my cabin and the gravel road with a laser tool. Her clipboard was full of photos of my flower beds, solar panels, and even my compost bin. "You're trespassing," I said loud and clear. Karen didn't flinch. She turned, adjusted her scarf, and said, "We've received community concerns about the state of your yard. Frankly, Mr. Reed, you're dragging down property values." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "My cabin isn't even visible from the road." "That's not the point," she snapped. "We have standards. If you want to live near Pine Creek, you'll have to follow Pine Creek rules." I pointed to the road. "You see that clubhouse down there? The one you hold your meetings in?" "Yes," she said, raising an eyebrow. "I own that building," I said. "Have for years. Inherited it from my uncle. You've been leasing it through a shell rental contract, and that contract is month to month." Silence. For the first time, I saw real fear flicker behind her eyes. "You're lying," she said. "Wanna see the deed?" I offered. She scoffed. "We've invested in that space, upgraded the kitchen, painted the walls, and it's still mine," I said. "You've got 2 weeks to vacate. I'll be locking the place and revoking access." Karen turned on her heel, muttering something about calling the county assessor. I didn't stop her. I wanted her to dig. Because here's the kicker. That clubhouse had sat unnoticed for decades. A forgotten tax record. My uncle bought it in 1997 at a foreclosure auction when the original lodge shut down. When the Pine Creek developers moved in, they didn't even ask who owned it, they just assumed the old building was public use and built their little world around it. By Monday morning, my phone was blowing up. Karen had launched a campaign she called the mayor's office, emailed county zoning, even tried accusing me of fraudulently seizing community assets. But every record traced the land back to me. And with Lila's help, I drew up a formal eviction notice and posted it right on their community bulletin board. I also added a sign in permanent marker across the fence gate. Private property, no HOA access. The backlash was immediate. Karen tried rallying neighbors, but cracks began to show. A board member named Tyler reached out privately and apologized. He confessed that Karen had doctored maps and forged a fake unanimous vote to try and absorb my property. Tyler offered to testify if it went to court. And then came the twist I never saw coming. A woman named Naomi showed up at my cabin with a box of lemon bars and a thick binder under her arm. "I used to be treasurer," she said quietly, "before Karen took over. She bullied half of us off the board. I have copies of every thingimails, votes, even a memo where she tells the group not to worry about ownership issues because that hick Reed guy doesn't read fine print." I sat down. "You kept all of this?" She nodded. "Because I knew one day someone would finally stand up to her." She handed me the binder. Inside were copies of internal meeting minutes, lists of residents who had no idea they were paying dues for a clubhouse built on land they didn't own, and even a spreadsheet tracking fake violations Karen issued to difficult neighbors. With this in hand, I made a few calls to the county attorney, to local news outlets, and to one very spicy real estate blogger who had a soft spot for HOA horror stories. Want to read the second half where Karen's empire publicly crumbles and I reclaim my land with a smile? Just say the word. And after, tell me this. If someone tried to force you into an HOA you never joined, how far would you go to stop them? I didn't need to say another word. The evidence spoke louder than any speech ever could. Satellite overlays of the destroyed garden, timestamps from surveillance drones, and the smoking gun, the audio file of Karen bribing the land inspector. Her voice as clear as daylight. "Just mark it as HOA common grounds. No one reads the fine print anyway. I'll make it worth your while." A hush fell over the hall. You could hear the tension thicken, pressing down on everyone's chest. Then, a single clap, then another, and suddenly, the entire room erupted. The HOA's monthly meeting transformed into a courtroom, a tribunal, and a reckoning. She tore down his greenhouse to build a VIP fire pit? What kind of monster does that? That man's family planted those trees in the 70s, and she bulldozed them for a clubhouse extension? She's a thief. Remember when she tried to evict the elderly couple for painting their shutters green? And now this. Karen stood paralyzed in her power suit, her signature red lipstick smeared like a clown mask. Her hand trembled on the armrest as if gripping the last shreds of her manufactured authority. But it was no use, the dam had burst. Beside her, the crooked land inspector tried to slip out the back door. Didn't make it past the sheriff. He and two deputies had been waiting quietly in the back since the meeting started at my request. Karen's face drained of color as one of them approached. "Ma'am, you're going to need to come with us. There's a pending investigation regarding land fraud, environmental damage, and abuse of authority." Her jaw dropped. "Wait, this is a mistake. I didn't approve anything. The HOA voted." "No." I cut in, finally breaking my silence. My voice was calm, steady. "The HOA never voted. You forged a majority using fake proxy ballots. I have the originals." Gasped. Someone behind her muttered, "She rigged it. Like a dictator." Karen whipped toward me. "You think you can just humiliate me in front of everyone and get away with it?" "No," I said. "I think you humiliated yourself the moment you believed no one could stop you." As the sheriff read her Miranda rights, Karen tried one last move, the pity card. "My husband's a retired judge," she snapped. "You'll regret this when he finds out." "Funny," the sheriff replied. "He's the one who handed over your burner phone when we served the warrant." Karen froze. For the first time, the mask cracked. Her shoulders slumped. Her fight was gone. They cuffed her gently, but firmly. It wasn't just about the land she tried to steal or the heritage she tried to erase. It was about the culture she cultivated, one of fear, silencing, and elitism. She'd weaponized HOA bylaws like daggers. Fined people for hosting birthday parties. Forced veterans to repaint their mailboxes. Threatened a cancer patient over a wheelchair ramp. And now all of that came back to devour her. The meeting adjourned not with the usual hollow motion carried, but with cheers, hugs, and neighbors shaking my hand, some with tears in their eyes. An elderly woman grabbed my arm. "You brought the soul back to this place. Thank you." But I wasn't finished yet. The next day, I filed a civil suit not just for my damages, but on behalf of every homeowner wrongfully fined or harassed under Karen's reign. And I wasn't alone. 14 neighbors signed on. 2 weeks later, the state attorney general announced an official investigation into HOA corruption across 3 counties, naming Karen and her executive board as central figures. Turns out my case blew the lid off something much bigger: misappropriated HOA funds, forged votes, illegal land use changes, even hush money payments to silence whistleblowers. Her empire crumbled like wet plaster. The board voted her out unanimously, including her former allies, desperate to distance themselves. Her house, once the HOA's shining model home, became a cautionary tale, overgrown and silent. But the best part? We held a block party on the land she tried to steal, right on the ruins of the illegal construction she started. Replanted every tree, built a new greenhouse, raised a community mural where her "No Trespassing" sign once stood. On it, someone painted a phoenix rising from smoke, next to the words, "No one owns the land. We belong to it together." And me? I just went back to tending bees, watching the sun rise over the orchard my grandfather once built. Karen tried to bury me. She forgot I was a seed.